Hey, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we grab a bunch of sources, pull out the really key stuff, and basically give you a shortcut to knowing what's what.
Exactly. Helping you get informed fast.
So today, we're diving into a story, well, one you definitely know, probably heard it as a kid, right? The Emperor's New Clothes. But here's the thing. What if this story, this fairy tale, is actually like a masterclass in social psychology, full of insights that are maybe more for adults than kids? We're looking at excerpts from a piece called The Unseen Threads of Social Conformity, which digs into Hans Christian Andersen's 1837 story. And it argues it's way more than just, a simple tale about vanity. It calls it a foundational critique of the unspoken constructs of our society.
That's a big claim.
It is.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty bold for a children's story, doesn't it?
It really does. But what this analysis argues, and I think quite brilliantly, is that Andersen's story works as this potent cautionary tale specifically for adults. It uses this deceptively simple plot to show these really complex social things almost too easily, which is why I think it still feels so relevant almost 200 years later. It's got this enduring wisdom packed inside.
Okay, you definitely got my attention now. Sounds like there's way more going on than meets the eye, or, well, doesn't meet the eye in the story, right?
Yeah.
So let's unpack this. How does a whimsical tale hold such, sophisticated social truths? What's the first thread the source pulls?
Well, okay, let's just quickly refresh the basics. Vain emperor loves clothes. Two weavers show up, claiming they have this magic fabric invisible to anyone who's stupid or unfit for their job.
Right, and the whole town just pretends they see it.
Exactly, and that's the central puzzle, isn't it? The source calls it a collective delusion. How could an entire town, from the emperor down, his top advisors, everyone, how could they all conspire in this? Why did they buy into such an obvious deception?
Yeah, what was going on there psychologically?
Okay, so this is where the analysis brings in a key concept from social psychology. It's called pluralistic ignorance.
Pluralistic ignorance. Okay, tell me more.
So basically, it's this state where individuals privately think something is wrong or disagree with a norm, but they look around and assume, incorrectly, that most other people actually accept it.
Ah, okay, so everyone's thinking, this is nuts.
Yeah.
But believes they're the only one thinking it.
Precisely. In the story, nobody wants to be the first to stick their neck out and say, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
You're scared. Scared of being called stupid or unfit for their office.
Yeah, those are high stakes.
Totally. So each person, thinking they're alone and seeing, well, nothing, just goes along with what they think everyone else believes. They conform to this perceived group reality. The analysis puts it really well. They'd rather feign sight than admit their blindness.
Wow. That's powerful. It's a collective lie built on individual fear. So it's not just the emperor being tricked. It's everyone tricking everyone else, including themselves almost. This internal conflict. What I actually see versus the pressure to agree. Everyone sees nothing, but says they see something amazing because they think everyone else sees it and they don't want to be the odd one out, the stupid one.
Right.
Here's what gets really interesting. Think about it. How often does that happen? Like, you're in a work meeting, everyone's nodding about some new plan, and you're sitting there thinking, this seems like a terrible idea, but nobody says anything. You don't want to be the naysayer.
That's it, exactly. That's pluralistic ignorance right there, playing out in the modern office. It's amazing how this old story nails that dynamic.
It really is. So it's this deep human tendency. But the analysis goes further, right? It wasn't just this individual psychological thing keeping the charade going.
No, exactly. The source highlights these bigger societal forces, too. What else helped keep this whole thing afloat?
Okay, what were those?
Well, a huge factor is public image. The analysis points out the emperor's main drive wasn't just loving clothes. It was his deep vanity and desire to appear a magnificent and wise ruler. He needed to look the part.
So the clothes, or non-clothes, were key to that image.
Yes, and crucially, this wasn't just the emperor. His courtiers, his officials, they were equally concerned with their status and reputation. That's why they were praising the invisible fabric so much. It wasn't just about fooling the emperor. It was about protecting their own place in the hierarchy, showing they were smart, loyal, fit for their jobs.
So everyone's playing the game.
The whole system, really. The source says the entire social fabric of the kingdom is built on a lie, a shared fiction, that everyone helps to perpetuate to maintain their own standing. It becomes this self-reinforcing cycle. Conformity gets rewarded, even if it means lying.
So it's like this massive house of cards built on nothing. Invisible threads holding up the kingdom. And the actual truth, the emperor's stark nakedness, is just sacrificed.
Yeah.
All for social conformity, for keeping up appearances.
Absolutely. The truth becomes too costly to acknowledge.
So what does this all mean for us then? If everyone's locked into this, how does it ever break? Wouldn't someone eventually snap?
That's the critical point. And the source suggests the fear of losing your job, your reputation, your social standing is just incredibly powerful. For the adults in that story, speaking up meant risking, well, potentially everything.
Yeah.
Think about it today. How many decisions get made in companies, or how many trends sweep through an industry? Not because they're genuinely the best ideas, but because questioning them means looking like you're, I don't know, not a team player or out of step.
Right. Challenging the boss or the accepted wisdom.
Exactly. The analysis really emphasizes it's not just about people being easily fooled. It's about systems that incentivize going along to get along, even when going along means ignoring reality. That pressure makes everyone complicit in a way.
That's a really key distinction. The system itself rewards silence. Okay, so this brings us to that turning point, the big parade. The emperor is walking through town in his amazing new clothes. Everyone's cheering, playing their part. But then, who finally breaks the spell?
It's the simplest voice in the room, a little child.
And that line.
That iconic line, but he has nothing on, just cuts right through everything.
Boom. The bubble bursts.
It really does. And the analysis points to the child as this powerful metaphor for the importance of critical thinking and rational behavior. The child isn't just naive. They represent truth without the layers of social calculation.
So why can the child say it? What makes them different?
Well, the source argues it's because they're unburdened by the social anxieties and professional pressures that paralyze the adults. Simple as that. They just trust their own eyes, their own senses, their logic over what everyone else is saying.
They haven't learned the rules yet.
Exactly. They haven't learned the cost of speaking truth to power or truth to the crowd. Think about like being in a group where everyone laughs at a joke you don't get. You probably just smile along, right?
Yeah, usually. You don't want to look clueless.
The child hasn't developed that filter yet, that social cost-benefit calculation. They just say what they see.
And that's the huge contrast, isn't it? For the adults, the analysis says there's this immense social cost of speaking up against the norm. So silence is safe. It protects your job, your reputation. They've done the math, and silence seems like the better bet until the child speaks.
Right. They've weighed the cost of truth against the safety of silence, and silence won.
What's the actual cost they're weighing, though? Is it just embarrassment?
Oh, it's potentially much more. Ostracization, losing your position, being seen as disruptive or foolish, maybe even being seen as disloyal. It's everything tied to their place in that society.
Yeah.
So the child's act isn't just blurting something out. The source calls it a radical one, an act of courage that shatters the fragile reality everyone has agreed to uphold. It takes that unvarnished perspective, free from fear, free from ego, to actually do it.
A radical act from a child. That changes everything.
It forces everyone else to confront what they knew or suspected all along.
This has been, a really fascinating deep dive. We started with a kid's story we all thought we knew, and we've ended up talking about pluralistic ignorance, public image, social conformity, these deep, complex forces, and just the power, the almost shocking power of one honest voice cutting through it all.
It really drives home how ingrained these dynamics are, doesn't it? And the analysis brings us back to that really profound question the story asks is, what would it take for us to be that child?
Yeah.
Especially now, and in a world full of echo chambers and social pressures that can obscure facts, as the source puts it, being able to see things clearly as they actually are, and then having the courage to say it, that feels rarer and more valuable than ever.
It really does. This story, almost 200 years old, feels incredibly current.
It's not just about vanity, is it? It's this timeless lesson about resisting groupthink, about the courage needed for honesty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what a powerful lesson. So maybe something for you to think about as you go about your day. Is there some small, naked truth you're seeing in your life, your work, your community?
Something everyone seems to be ignoring or pretending isn't there.
Yeah, exactly. That unspoken thing, that consensus you privately question. What would it take to give that observation a voice? Definitely something to mull over. We really encourage you to keep looking for those deeper threads, those unseen threads in your own world. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.